Good afternoon and welcome to the Federal Executive Forum celebrating 19 years of profiling excellence in government IT mission programs. I'm Luke McCormack. During today's show, we will discuss best practices with data center and cloud optimization strategies in the federal government. With me on today's show are Tom Santucci, Director, IT Modernization within the GSA Government-Wide Policy. Monique Borg, Assistant Director, JMD, OCIO Services, Engineering and Innovation, Department of Justice. Louis Copland, Executive Director, PEO Digital Department of the Navy. Mark James, Director of Cloud Operations, U.S. Customs and Border Protection. Nick Saki, Principal Technologist, U.S. Federal Pure Storage. Don Wiggins, Principal Solutions Architect, Equinix. And Scott Anderson, Distinguished Solutions Architect, Verizon Enterprise Services. Well, by my calculation, it's been 14 years since we had the good old 25-point plan, which started the data center consolidation journey. And then we went from data center consolidation to cloud first, to cloud smart, to cloud optimization. Really way up the maturity stack. Tom, I know you're working on a lot of different things there. You've really kept this community together, pushing us up the stack, if you will. And we're now talking about energy utilization and organic builds and clouds, et cetera. Give us a state of the state across the spectrum from where you sit.
Yeah, Luke, thanks for that question. We manage the data center and cloud optimization initiative and all things, and we serve as OMB's managing partner for and serve as trusted agents and information brokers and provide subject matter expertise to agencies, both big and small. And today we're the managing partner of OMB's policy for the federal cloud computing strategy called Cloud Smart, like you said, in IPv6. And as well as the recent Data Center Enhancement Act, which we'll talk about later. But this partnership has been instrumental to help translate policy and strategy from OMB's perspective and the current administration down to the federal agency personnel. And the IT Modernization Division supports agencies in developing the skills and strategies to optimize investments in the cloud and on-prem applications by providing guidance, playbooks, and technical SME support. And our work related to the cloud computing, data centers, and IPv6 is intended to help agencies with their digital modernization and the adoption of more modern IT infrastructure. And moreover, we manage the Cloud and Infrastructure Community of Practice, which has over 3,000 of the federal workforce as members. And each month we talk about select topics that are relevant to today and create work groups to develop artifacts to assist agencies.
Fantastic, and we really appreciate all the leadership at the GSA level, partnering with OMB to keep the community straight. Monique, you all have been on quite a journey there. You got out of the good old DOJ Rockville data center once upon a time, moved your environment into to the FBI facilities, if I recall, and now I understand you're doing multi-cloud, all kinds of things. Get us up to date as to how things are going across the DOJ community.
Yeah, Luke. So yeah, we are making wonderful progress. You know, cloud has really been a wonderful tool for us at the department. You know, we were holding steady. We went from 100 data centers to 10 data centers these days at the department. So it seems to be where we're holding for a while, and continuing to look for opportunities to modernize. You know, data center optimization is sort of hand in hand with our approach with our architecture and data storage. Bulk of our cloud applications are now in infrastructure as service or platform as a service hosted in FedRAMP cloud environments. So we've made significant investments there, and continuing to look at new emerging opportunities there as well. We definitely have, turned to cloud computing, and as the to meet our expanding data requirements and mission requirements, and as the cloud technology, became much more capable environments and secure environments to support our mission, it's really fundamentally changed the way we've managed our data across our landscape. We're squarely in a hybrid environment, and we are, as we look forward, we're continuing to look at opportunities for enhanced data center, real estate, within our 10 existing data centers, continuing to modernize those, as well as continuing to look at modernizing our where we can do more in the cloud and certain mission work streams such as e-discovery and electronic records management. So it's definitely a mainstay here now for the department. So we feel it's no longer a question of, why. It's definitely just it's a main menu item for us, cloud technology, and how can we, and it's a key component to us sustaining and growing across the department, and that being very much coupled with our hybrid environment with our existing data centers. So yeah, it feels like it has matured into a very nice path. It's definitely been a journey, but it's a very solid path now for us at the department. It's exciting.
Wrangled them from 100 to 10. It sounds like you got a nice normalization there, and you're into full optimization mode. No doubt that cloud being probably your first choice, and it's great to see that you have this hybrid environment that you're able to exercise.
Right.
Louis, I would imagine that every floating platform is probably a data center in its own right.
It is.
Yeah, tell us about the journey that you all are on, and how things are going in the digital space there.
Yeah, well, the Department of the Navy has been very aggressive, as Monique said, with data center consolidation and optimization. But at the end of the day, that IT infrastructure is there to enable certain customer experiences and a certain amount of operational resilience. Do these different personas who need to pursue particular missions have what they need, and is it there when they need it, even under less than benign circumstances? So we've really seen a switch over the last few years to talking about what do we need to enable, and that whether it's a digital workplace experience for a general user who needs to connect and collaborate with people with a variety of data domains, or it's a software developer, or a member of the data science community, or cyber operators. So they've all, over time, built up their own IT infrastructures because that's what was needed to get the job done. And with this transition to Zero Trust Cloud, we've seen that a lot of those old drivers have become overcome by events. And rather than talking about ripping data centers and networks out of people's hands, we say, well, how might we? What would it take for you to migrate your critical services, the thing that makes you a unique community of interest, into an enterprise information environment? And let's just take a technical view of this and say, it will work, it won't work, or it would work with this additional investment. So we've had a lot of momentum in that regard, a lot of consolidation into enterprise information environments because they're better suited now to supporting a range of communities, whereas in the past, the IT infrastructures were a little more bespoke by mission groups.
Fantastic, and it's very exciting news, and we really appreciate all the extra effort that's going on over at the Department of Navy. Mark, James, I know you all have been on a tear over there, really focusing on getting all those critical applications out into the cloud, shutting down those last remaining data centers. Give us a top line. How's it going so far?
Well, at CBP Customs and Border Protection Office of Information Technology, we on paper have moved 82% of our application portfolio. Now, with that being said, we still have a lot of technical debt sitting behind the scene, maybe 80% of application migration, with 40% of total infrastructure moved based on the fact that our data stores, our Oracle databases, our legacy systems are still on premise. We also have maintained as you know, a mission first approach over the years for developing mission critical systems, which has created a lot of technical debt. That we didn't ideally build efficient systems. We didn't build cost optimization systems, and now we're feeling the pain during the migration as we move into the cloud environment. For CBP, migration is modernization. Unfortunately, modernization leaves a lot of inefficiencies still back at the data center with high costs. Our costs to run the data center, we had to pivot from just focusing on optimization within the cloud to optimization back on-prem to realize some of those cost efficiencies by reducing contracts, consolidating infrastructure, consolidating systems, to moving them to platforms such as co-location facilities like Equinix, moving them to just pure EC2 migrations or VM migrations, lift and shift. Unfortunately, that doesn't sound optimized for cloud, but considering the high cost of software and hardware on-prem, we had to make some tough, hard decisions in the migration. So the journey now is full optimization. We're multi-cloud, we're multiple cloud, we're hybrid, we're a little bit of co-location, and we're also traditional data centers. So the first task is consolidating from 3 data centers to 1. That's been completed. But now we're into a 1 data center, multiple cloud service providers, and multiple co-location facilities. So now over the next couple of years, we need to optimize by consolidating those particular clouds, picking the right ones, having governance organization to kind of support the optimization and consolidation within. So that's our next set of challenges. Migration was easy, but it's difficult because now costs are starting to ramp up to sustain two, maybe even 3 environments in the back end.
Delicate balance there, and appreciate, obviously the laser focus on mission first, optimize second type thing. So full vote of confidence in all of you over there to pull the rest of that off. Nick, Pure Storage, a lot of activity going on over there. You guys continue to innovate. What are you seeing across the spectrum as you're helping these folks get into these environments, able to do e-discovery, all these things that are being described here?
Well, thank you, Luke. It is exciting. I've, like you, have been in the government space for a long time, and watching the evolution of the data center optimization and cloud transformation has been really exciting. Doing that at government scale is a daunting task. So it is to the credit of these tremendous leaders that they continue to move the ball forward and affect the transformation. At Pure Storage, we've seen a tremendous adoption of flash memory technologies to replace legacy spinning disk, and the advantages to that, whether they're in hosted facilities that our customers are leveraging from third-party providers or in their own on-premises data centers, is the effective increase in capacity density. The amount of data that you can store in the same footprint for us has increased 220x over the last 10 years. So if you think about that in terms of how much data you're fitting into ever decreasing amounts of space, it's creating the capacity for us to store petabytes of data in 3 or 5 rack units. So driving down the amount of rack space and power being consumed at data centers, whether they're an agency's own data centers or they're leveraged in other facilities, is driving a tremendous reduction in the cost of data, while also delivering a tremendous increase in the outcomes and the products that data can deliver to our agency leaders, to our government, and to our citizens. So we're really proud to have been a part of that, and we're going to continue to work with the cloud service providers and with our customers to be able to give them a seamless data environment where they can leverage their data where, when, and how they want to in the environment that makes most sense for that data type, and to do so simply, with security, and with unprecedented speed and scalability.
High density, high security, low cost. We love it, and we really do appreciate it. Don, let's talk about Equinix and how they fit into this picture. A key capability as these folks move to the cloud, continue in these hybrid environments, et cetera. Give us the top line state of the state.
Yeah, thanks, Luke. And I really appreciate the opportunity to participate in this event. Got a great distinguished panel here. It's been an interesting journey. I have a unique privilege of a broad purview of a lot of agencies who have been methodically executing their respective digital modernization initiatives. And they vary, obviously, in some degree from one to the other, but they all share a number of different common challenges and objectives. So I have had the privilege of serving my current role, supporting the vast majority of our public sector business here at Equinix for over a decade, for about 11 years now. And so just a lot of great success stories that I could speak of with a number of the panelists here, these agencies. Custom border protection, for one, I can speak out. They were really the trailblazers for Homeland Security. Inside of 10 years ago, worked with their teams who really had a solid game plan. And it all really begins with application rationalization, looking at what you've done, from a legacy perspective and how you rationalize that into sort of a cloud type environment. Great success story there. The Navy has also done some incredible things and are actively executing their initiative as well. For those who don't have complete familiarity and why or who we are and what purpose we serve or our charter in the industry, so it's a unique place. Equinix began as the sort of meeting place for the telcos back in the late 90s to start building the internet. Things really changed significantly as the cloud providers began to gravitate to Equinix and instantiate an edge presence here. That has accelerated significantly over the last decade. But the important point to raise here is that in that process, these cloud providers effectively forced us to up our game in the interconnection business. And so that's really our focus today. We're the world's largest data center provider, but our real focus is interconnection and fostering and curating a provider neutral digital ecosystem, a digital marketplace, if you will. And so now in 2024, the vast majority of these digital service providers have opted in to permanently SDN enable and API integrate their respective offerings and global backbone networks, for that matter, into our underlying globally deployed SDN enabled fabric, which creates this digital infrastructure that enables 10,000 plus customers at Equinix to within a few minutes stitch together hybrid multi-cloud architectures. A plethora of agencies have taken advantage of this. So I will just say, in wrapping up my point, there's been tremendous progress in cloud adoption, hybrid multi-cloud adoption. But I also, am happy to announce that a lot of these agencies have also found extended utility with this interconnection play and being able to logically extend their respective agency boundaries into a place like Equinix and begin to collaborate and establish communities of interest, whether it be federal healthcare, federal finance, federal law enforcement, and so forth, in the DoD realm as well. So there's a lot of great activity.
And who would have known that interconnection capabilities would have been so important as we move on this journey? We really do appreciate everything that Equinix is offering to enable this important capability to happen. We're going to take a short break and we'll be right back. You're listening to the Federal Executive Forum on Federal News Network. Welcome back to the Federal Executive Forum on Federal News Network. We're talking about cloud optimization. Scott, we're going to come back to you and ask you, give us a top line. Verizon obviously very involved in cloud connectivity, et cetera. Give us a state of the state from your perspective.
Thanks, Luke. I mean, we heard some incredible stories from both partners and from government agencies, really excellent stories about moving to the cloud. The concept being hybrid multi-cloud connectivity, and shockingly, that's something Verizon has been taking a long look at. Not just, by the way, for our customers, we do it ourselves. We have assets in AWS, assets in Azure, assets in Google Cloud, IBM Cloud, and Oracle Cloud today. So we're doing it ourselves. We understand the concepts of managing that hybrid connectivity. And so out of that, we've created a connectivity framework to support, help, and enable that connectivity anywhere. And that includes our partner Equinix, where they're a component of our framework. We utilize them as a piece of it. So that connectivity framework allows organizations to have a private network and allows them to take that private network and push it all the way to the cloud. And then we've also got a number of offerings in the emerging space that Don Wiggins actually brought up, which is the concept of edge computing. And obviously in the future, as we move into the world of artificial intelligence and the world of what's coming, the latency of applications will be critical. So thanks for the opportunity, Luke.
We really do appreciate it, and we thank you all for everything you're doing to bolt all this together, if you will. Monique, we're going to go up to you and talk about a specific program that you'd like to highlight in regards to these various activities. You top-lined a lot of things that are going on over there. Let's talk about one program you'd like to enlightening our listening audience to.
Oh, yeah, thank you, Luke, for that. Yeah, at Justice, we have taken similar tact as GSA with some of our supporting our communities across the department. So specifically, taking away some best practices from when we were launching our cloud optimization was how best to get some help to the community for some hands-on experience. And so we had a lot of success over the years with our cloud technology zone. So early on in our journey, we set that up. It allowed folks to come in and it was a safe, secure place to get familiar with the tools, test with the cloud service providers, kick their tires in the environment before buying. And it also allowed some migration assessments, sense of time to share and move data around and easily spin up and spin down, look at containerization, all those good nuts and bolts things with the cloud service providers and in the environment. So, and that was really successful over the years, and it really helped our early adoption process. We recently actually spun it down since we had matured beyond that space, but now leaning into where we are now with establishing FedRAMP cloud landing zones for our community to use. We're looking to spin up a similar model with respect to testing AI tools. So that has been a really great way for us to engage with the department community, allow them to build their tools and knowledge, and continue on this learning path to using secure environments to test and build their knowledge, and then easily move forward in a secured environment. So with our cloud landing zone, they'll be able to move into production much more seamlessly than in the past with our cloud technology zone, which was a separate environment. So we've learned, we've matured, and we're hoping that it even fast tracks the on-ramp of these new tools and building the workforce skill set that's so key to going along with the overall adoption.
Fantastic. Much shorter time frame to implement, and what a great use case. We really do appreciate that example. Don, how about at Equinix? You top-lined a couple of different areas over at CBP, et cetera, CBP. Can you give us an example of one that you'd like to highlight? What use of this interconnective capability that you described?
Yeah, absolutely. So, beyond the, a methodical process of transitioning, applications and data where it makes sense to do so to cloud environments, there's also an underlying strategy in placing workloads where they need to be, right? So Equinix continues to advocate the principle that we gravitate from traditional network-centric architectures of the past to more of an application user friendly architecture of the present. And we do so because of the continued proliferation of cloud services and other digital service providers in geo-disparate locations. So, things are quite different now. The digital landscape continues to evolve, but is certainly much different now than it was traditionally. So, our customers are recognizing that and are selecting geostrategic locations to place workloads to establish cloud adjacent hybrid multi-cloud architectures and continue to innovate. They have proximity to a number of innovative service providers that operate on our platform. So in many cases, they're able to execute on the next 5 to 10 initiatives that they have in their pipeline or their strategy. Another great story with the U.S. Navy, and Louis, I'm sure you can expand on this as well. The Navy digital platform, I believe it's going through a renaming process, so forgive me, Navy Exchange platform, I believe it is. But another great story there. So again, looking at leveraging, and this is really applies writ large across federal government. They're looking to exploit or take advantage of capabilities out here in industry like software-defined networking, adjacency to cloud, and sort of adopt those rather than build them themselves. They're readily adoptable in places like Equinix. Partnerships with folks like Verizon, where we have integrated our respective global network backbones to create a sort of software orchestrated ubiquitous transport capability between the two of us. And some others are just, a small example of some of the innovations that we're also, experiencing as well.
Love the interconnectivity that you're doing with the various agencies and leveraging the various vendors out there as well, and appreciate everything that Equinix is doing to unlock this capability. Tom, I'm going to come up to you and ask you, you're really sitting in a unique situation there in the catbird seat, so to speak. You're seeing all this across all the federal departments and agencies. Would you like to highlight an example there that you'd like to shed some light on?
Yeah, Luke, I think GSA as an agency is an exemplary example of cloud migrations and using cloud to the most efficient possible. I'm really proud of the cloud infrastructure COP. Congress provides a lot of money to acquire all of these products, but they do very little in technical training level. And the COP does provide no-cost training to the federal workforce through our workforce development sub-COP. And we provide a lot of training with the cloud data centers and networking practitioners on that front. I think one big thing I would want to highlight is agencies have always struggled to find data center colos and procurements, both in the cloud and colo. And I'm happy to say I'm working with GSA's Public Building Service to use our 20-year authority to lease space with these data center colos. This promises to reduce the procurement challenges and delays, as well as significantly reduce costs, I think. And also GSA's IT category management is working on the new Ascend BPA, which is going to help agencies with their cloud migrations as well.
Really do appreciate that, Nick. You always have fantastic examples. Give us the latest, coolest example that you have out there where you're helping one of these agencies unlock some capabilities.
Well, thanks, Luke. We've been pretty excited to move deeper into the applied research and high performance computing environments, particularly with the advent of artificial intelligence and the explosive growth and deployment of artificial intelligence capabilities across the services. So to that end, we have experienced a tremendous uptake in a couple of different key areas. Our Portworx container-based data management service, as well as our artificial intelligence ready infrastructure as our partnered converged infrastructure with NVIDIA. Actually, the first adopter of that in government was the Department of the Navy at Crane. So what this is driving is an increased need for capacity, density, performance, and throughput, because artificial intelligence platforms churn through data, leverage data at scale and speed that's really unprecedented. So our focus has been on how do we create a single unified data plane that delivers cost and performance advantages across every data type and every application use case. Because as cool as the new things are, there's still tremendous amounts of legacy data, legacy applications. But what we're able to do now with the advent of AI is actually reinvigorate and rejuvenate data types or legacy data to inform the training and capability of AIs. More data is always better in the case of AIs, but making that data available becomes a tremendous challenge, especially as the quantities get larger. So our focus has been on the flexibility, adaptability, and scaling capacity of our data platforms to facilitate better application development and better utilization of that data, all while driving down cost. So driving down the cost of data is a huge driver for us as well.
Increasing the capability, lowering the cost. Sounds good to me. Mark, can you profile an example that you'd like to highlight as you all are on your journey, getting out of that technical debt, getting into these modern environments?
Yeah, similar to Monique, we stood up a which we called in 2016, 2017, the Data Center Migration Initiative. Eventually, that turned into the Cloud Center of Excellence, which we provided quite a few things that the other speakers had mentioned: education, strategy, app rationalization, things that help them on their migration journey. So one of the successes that has come from the migration strategy was that we stood up a new program called Operational Technology. Since cloud and the interconnectivity of such environments of Equinix and some of the challenges that we were able to overcome, we've readdressed the challenges to our agents in the field with connectivity and availability. So now operational technology is kind of our new focus, which spurned off from, we rolled that into optimization. Before, agents in the field, as you know, probably were having difficulty actually connecting to remote locations, connecting to our field sites. We created these technical debt out in the field. Now, with our new strategy, we've aligned to moving edge computing out to the field, use technology such as Starlink. We're looking at remote connectivity with AT&T and Verizon. Those optimization programs have helped us achieve a lot more efficiency and driven down costs across the agency. Second, one of our successful optimization programs, I mean, it's a legacy system. We initially started moving the mainframe from the data center. We were incurring high costs from vendor bills or software, hardware bills. We took on as a service model with IBM. It dropped our costs 20 to 30% down in year one and 30 to 40% in year 2 and 3, eventually able to retire the mainframe without a high level of technical debt. So it was more of a two-stage migration. We more lifted and shifted into a managed service offering within IBM. And then we went to a full optimization, was able to give application development teams time to move and develop off of the mainframe. So that's probably one of our second largest success. And finally, when we initially went into the data center migration after the OMB mandate, we pushed towards cloud first, cloud only. That was not the strategy for legacy, especially a government agency. So we pulled back and actually started offering training and environments on-prem in support of cloud. So we moved some of the cloud technologies onto the prem, Kubernetes environments, containerization, and that gave application teams in our user community a little bit of time to educate themselves up to the migration. And now they were able to pivot from our on-prem cloud instantiation to completely off-prem. So that's probably two of our biggest successes. One of them being, both of them somewhat of a tiered approach to migration and optimization.
Fantastic, and a nice example of a beautiful hybrid environment there, if I may say so. Scott, how about at Verizon? Can you give us an example of a program you'd like to highlight?
Certainly. So, we work with a number of federal agencies and across, every single platform. We've designed and built a number of unique systems for federal entities. But what I actually was enjoying listening to the federal leaders talking about the fact that, they're moving towards common. And I think for us, that's kind of where we're trying to help. Again, our connectivity framework, our design structure, we're trying to help agencies move to common. So I would say it's not one agency, it's multiple agencies, but our goal is to get to that common framework where the reliability of the infrastructure isn't a question, right? You don't worry about how reliable your structure is. You don't worry about the connectivity you need. You're just there to be able to support those future workloads. Thank you.
Sure, and we really do appreciate that that common framework that enables these capabilities. We're going to take a short break and we'll be right back. You're listening to the Federal Executive Forum on Federal News Network. Welcome back to the Federal Executive Forum on Federal News Network. We're talking about cloud and data center optimization, specifically talking about, specific programs that we'd like to highlight. Louis, I'm going to go to you at the Navy. Give us an example of a program you'd like to enlighten the audience with.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of compelling examples, and we've heard a bunch of the other speakers hit on them. The work we're doing going into the co-location facilities, the pilots we're doing with hyperconverged infrastructure stacks that extend our Azure cloud down to local use cases and provide some resilience and load balancing and disconnected service. And of course, the 5G and the proliferated low Earth orbit SATCOM like Starlink, all game changers, and they're all converging very nicely in a kind of composed service mesh. But the example I'd like to highlight is that we've got this way of doing business where we think about our technology investment horizons and the difference between a promising pilot, we don't know how big it's going to get, a kind of robust bread and butter enterprise service, that's the backbone of what we do today, and then the need to divest those things to free up capital to reinvest in our Horizon Zero, what the Navy calls Operation Cattle Drive. And so as we're going through this, part of it is to create that maneuver space for when demands come in. And we had one come in. We were in the process of optimizing how we do virtual desktop infrastructure, VDI. And we had moved out of the data centers. We'd been building out an Azure virtual desktop called Nautilus Virtual Desktop. And earlier this year, our VPN infrastructure went offline. And we were able to very rapidly scale people over to that Nautilus virtual desktop experience. That was really a game changer. I mean, the infrastructure was able to be provisioned in real time as it started to strain under a 7x increase in usage. It was infrastructure as code, spinning up more of that virtual compute, adding regions. So, it was a really great example of actually delivering on the promise of cloud. Often we don't do that. Often we lift and shift legacy services and legacy architectures and then wonder why we've got a legacy experience. So here is a case where we actually re-engineer the service delivery to take advantage of the power of cloud, knowing that it seemed like the right thing to do. And then when the flag went up, I said, oh, we've got something here. We can flip the switch. We went from about 5,000 average concurrent users to 35 or 40,000 average concurrent users, and from about 25,000 total to 150,000 total, and adding more. And that was really in a matter of days. And it's really been a game changer for people being able to continue to work even from a remote location on their personal devices or their government devices over the DoDIN or over commercial internet. So great success story for us.
And remarkable that you were able to do that in just a few short days. It's an incredible feat. So we appreciate that, and hats off to the team for that one. All right, we're going to start talking about top priorities. Tom, let's start with you. Number one priority for you this year at GSA.
Well, the new priority is the Federal Data Center Enhancement Act and implementing that. We're working with OMB to come up with new minimum requirements for all facilities holding federal data. That includes federally owned leased buildings, colo, data centers, edge. And Congress is demanding we build and maintain these federally run facilities on par with what's commercially available. And it impacts all 24 CFO Act agencies, just like DCOI did. And we'll be developing minimum requirements that address the categories like availability and uptime, the facilities cost, which is not known today, the true facilities cost, getting an understanding of the energy consumption, protections against power failures, and IT security. But there was one, because Luke, like you said, I sit at the government-wide level. I see all the data center practitioners and cloud practitioners, and I see good senses of successful cloud migrations. And the strategic adoption of colo is important. We believe that colo, it can save a lot of money for agencies, all while reducing the risk to admission to agencies and further cloud migrations. And we consider any IT located in these facilities as part of the cloud ecosystem. The data centers changed over the last 10 years, and it'll continue to change. And industry is well adept to changing based on innovations that are coming along, especially with the advent of AI, quantum, and HPC, and more powerful chips. They need to deal with those heating challenges and keeping those equipment cool enough to operate, and energy efficient levels, no less. And so we believe colos are laser focused on energy efficiency because it's part of their business model. It's their profit structure. They're driven to do that. And we expect agencies to focus more heavily on edge computing to support latency sensitive applications. But then understanding the total cost of ownership is a challenge. Focus on portfolio management. I got to give shout outs to Mark. He said 82% is in the cloud, and it's amazing. I see more and more agencies being able to identify how much of their portfolio is in the cloud or colo. And then one of the big successes we had is the Cloud Operations Best Practices and Resource Guide. It's found on CIO.gov, and I don't want to get into the details. I know we're short on time, but it was represented and developed by 80 participants over 30 agencies, and we're really proud of the work that they did on that. It goes into every aspect of cloud migrations, whether you're a beginner or advanced, like DOJ and the agencies here.
Well, there you have it. GSA has laid the gauntlet down, colo. So we really do appreciate all the leadership coming out of your organization. Monique, top priority for you this year.
Yeah, thanks, Luke. Yeah, so at Justice, we are, it is cloud is squarely in our priority. So really improving our cloud service management, looking at continuing to modernize those mission critical applications, right? And effectively using our current portfolio, and how can we expand upon that, our current cloud services portfolio and how do we more effectively meet those mission critical needs. Like I mentioned earlier, e-discovery, big data needs, records management, some more of our mainstays. How do we mature into that? More matters management, support for our mission base. And then, coupled with that is securing cloud access, maturing into that overall cloud monitoring, secure access. The department, we've been implementing centralized identity management across with our components across the department. So that's a key tenet of overall cloud security, data management, and lays the foundation for all good things with data analysis and AI as we move forward. So, it's really critical that we're going to be able to manage down to, the data should be tied to the person, not necessarily the network address, and make sure we're securing at that identity level centrally across the department. So, those are the focus areas to make sure we really have a robust infrastructure and architecture in place as we move to lean into all the emerging technology coming down.
Fantastic. I'm hearing a little zero trust architecture in there somewhere. So hats off to you all. Louis, number one priority for the Navy this year.
Yeah, our priority coming up in fiscal year 25 is really around exactly what you just said, Luke, that zero trust cloud migration of our remaining points, in particular with the alignment to the Windows 11 timeline. We see as an opportunity to move some of our legacy management structures into that Horizon Zero cattle drive divestment mode and really improve the customer experience and the operational resilience by making those natively cloud managed. We've got those in pilot right now. I use one in my personal work. We've demonstrated them self-provisioning live over dirty internet in about 30 minutes, just logging in clean with your government email. And they just run a lot better. And they actually provide enhanced cybersecurity and operational control by making maximum use of all these services that we bought. So it's improving both the customer experience and the cybersecurity. And that's kind of rare since they're usually in tension with one another. But that's the whole promise of zero trust, is it lets us do more of both concurrently.
Fantastic. Mark, let me guess. Get that damn Oracle environment into the cloud. What's your number one priority for this year?
Yeah, definitely migrating into the cloud is our number one priority, but in a methodical approach. What we're seeing today is we're struggling with security and also our financial operations are moving in the cloud and out the data center. So FinOps has been a key component of our Center of Excellence in our organization by tagging things of those natures to ensure that we have cost effectiveness. We've moved into the cloud, but I would love to see a little bit more of a focus on site reliability, some security, data at rest, encryption, some of those technologies that we are taking advantage of, but we have not really dive deeper into disaster recovery, availability of systems in the case of catastrophic event. We saw an incident with the Amazon help desk, our service desk. I forgot the product name. It went down. They had an issue. They had a network issue, and it flipped over within seconds. So, with our mission critical applications moving in, we need to have a more of a resiliency approach. Those are some of my priorities as now we're in. Also, Cloud 2 and 3.0. Our initial instantiation of cloud was, post 2017, 2018, 2019. Now, every time we stand up a cloud environment in another CSP such as Google or Azure, we try to take the efficiencies and inefficiencies of the past and create the next cloud level. And cloud affords us that ability to kind of make those changes where traditional data centers would not.
Lessons learned, and you carried on.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, we're going to wrap it up with our last question. We'd like to fast forward 2 to 3 years. paint a picture of the future, if you will. Scott, we're going to start with you at Verizon. What can we expect to see from Verizon services 2 to 3 years from now?
Well, yeah, thank you, Luke. I think one of the big things that we have coming is what we call network as a service, to truly take the network to the next level, right? To really create an environment building on our connectivity framework where we leverage the concepts of as a service within the network structure. And this includes a number of tools that are coming, a number of things that are coming that will greatly support the structure of the future. And then, of course, in the future, this little guy is probably going to be your predominant client. And I know for a number of federal agencies, it probably will not be in 3 years, maybe 5 to 10 years, based on the nature of their workloads and what they do. But for a lot of places, this phone is going to be the future. The majority of the traffic on the internet today comes from the cell phone. It generates, it starts, it's consumed by, and it's interacted with on the cell phone. So that's more than half today. That's going to be the future. What the device is doing, what the network is doing, and what your data center or co-location or cloud is doing is going to be critical. And that's what we see happening.
Fantastic. A lot of first port capability onto the mobile device, no doubt. Don, what can we expect as far as goods and services out of Equinix 2 to 3 years from now?
Yeah, thanks, Luke. So clearly, we've shown a propensity to continue to invest in capturing the AI opportunity, the high performance compute opportunity that's appearing everywhere. We're doing so with retrofitting existing data centers with liquid cooling and planning to outfit new data centers with advanced liquid cooling techniques, for one, to accommodate these denser, power-hungry footprints. At the same time, we're going to continue to focus and mature our software orchestrated interconnection framework with the 300 cloud providers who have instantiated on-ramps on our platform, and the nearly 2,000 network providers. Look for additional, more advanced integration with LEO services from the SATCOM folks in our ecosystem, as well as the mobile network operators with 5G as a transport. Just really exciting times right now. A lot of moving parts, a lot of synergies with those. We also just announced a new CEO that was publicized yesterday, I believe it was. And she comes with a great background from Google Cloud. So I look forward to how she's going to influence our organization and accelerate our continued growth as well.
Fantastic. The great virtual exchange, and we really appreciate everything you're doing. Nick, Pure Storage, we're going to continue to lower costs. We're going to continue to get more density. What else can we expect to see 2 to 3 years from now?
Oh, the story is going to get even better than that, Luke. So at Pure, our focus remains on delivering a single data plane to enable our customers to get the most out of their data and integrate their data across private and public cloud environments while driving down cost in order to achieve their organizational objectives. So first, we're building a single unified data plane to enable customers to gain maximum leverage over their data for all use cases. And we're doing this by enhancing our Pure Fusion orchestration and management platform, expanding the capabilities of our Cloud Block Store software appliance, software-defined storage. And in fact, we just launched Cloud Block Store for Azure VMware services. And then finally, strengthening our partner infrastructure and service providers, particularly Equinix, with whom we partnered on their Metal as a Service, infrastructure as a service platform since its inception. All right, so the second thing, and this is really the mind-boggling part, is we're focusing on extending our industry leadership and drive capacity of our direct flash modules. They are currently 75 terabytes per device. So we're going to be delivering 150 terabyte modules this year, which will double our capacity without increasing the system physical size or power. In 2026, we aim to deliver 300 terabyte drives, and we expect to continue this doubling pattern out to the end of the decade. So yeah, we are looking at 1.2 petabyte individual drive modules. So that'll give us the ability to literally do hundreds of petabytes to even conceivably exabytes in a single rack. So this is
Nick,
going to
you're making my
dramatically
head spin on a swivel.
Yeah,
It's
well, it's going to
incredible.
dramatically accelerate the contraction of data center footprint across the cloud, on premises, et cetera. But being able to serve that data, move that data, unify that data experience across all of those environments is actually our goal. So it's fair to say we're well on our way to exascale data systems that offer unequal density, efficiency, and performance. And all of that's
And we
going to
really,
just dramatically increase the capability of our government, our customers, to do more with their data.
and we really do appreciate that. Mark, 2 to 3 years from now, I know that last 10 or 15%, always tough to get to. Will you be at 100% and you'll be maximizing Pure Storage and consuming capabilities like no other? What can we expect 2 to 3 years from now? I don't want to put words in your mouth, Mark.
All right, 2 to 3 years from now, I hope we've migrated completely 100%, or I will not be sitting in this seat in the next couple of years. But
oh, come on, you'll be the damn CIO then.
But ultimately, as Nick alluded to, data is probably our primary focus. Interesting enough, our customer base, our internal customer base, whether it be the Border Patrol agents or our OFO officers, they have adopted technology rapidly. No longer are the days where technology was a kind of a backdoor conversation where they didn't want to engage. Now they are fully engaged in technology, and what that means is they need data out in the field. They need data out at the edge. The stakeholders are utilizing the data often and consistently. So the challenge from that is, how do we service that data to them immediately? How do we put it out to the edge? How do we provide it on their TAC devices? We brought up network connectivity. That's important. We brought up speed of data. That's also important. That's our real challenge. And hopefully some of the technology advancements in the backbone that we've established in the past to build out this infrastructure in a way that we can optimize and pivot rapidly will support the mission needs. One of the initiatives that Border Patrol is working on today is robotic dog technology, and which is very interesting because a robotic dog is not only a device for interdiction, it's also a edge device. So the communication between from robotic dog to robotic dog to the officers to command centers, that's all at the edge. That's also supported by our cloud technologies. It's also supported by the way we move data. So data, to me, is probably one of the driving forces. Is growing exponentially. As you well know, we hope Pure Storage continues to lower their costs so that we can continue to purchase. So that's our larger challenge. That's what we see, at least CBP, data, and edge computing.
Get that capability in the operator's hands. We really do appreciate everything that you and your team are doing, Mark. Lewis, Department of Navy, fast forward 2 to 3 years from now, what are you going to be focusing your attention on?
Yeah, well, I certainly believe by that point we'll have gone over the hump for our remaining transition to Zero Trust Cloud. I think that we're going to be doing a lot more in the way of multi-cloud orchestration and really proficiently maneuvering across our IaaS and PaaS and SaaS environments. I think there will be a lot more emphasis on data and identity, and maybe getting to a more multi-level security paradigms where we can commingle, so to speak, the infrastructure supporting unclassified, CUI, secret, and other data classifications, because we've got very granular attribute-based access control based around identities and data tagging and DLP and DRM. So I think we're going to see a continued shift in that direction because of all the possibilities that Zero Trust Cloud architectures enable.
Fantastic. And I'm sure that every sailor out there will certainly appreciate that capability. Monique, it sounds like you all have got a nice little cadence going there. You're starting to stack some maturity into this environment. What do you expect to see 2 to 3 years from now as you're sort of moving up that maturity stack?
Right. So a lot of similarity, to what Lewis and Mark said, but, I would add that I think what we're really going to see maturing quickly is increase in using AI tools when supporting basic system operations, back office workflows. They'll definitely be becoming more prevalent and mainstream. And that's going to really help round out our priorities with secure monitoring, zero trust, right? Identity management, being able to accelerate a lot of that overall end-to-end continuous monitoring and operations, and free up key resources to focus on other areas. So that will really help to complement the workforce and bringing up the skill set. So definitely see that added into the mix, into addition to what Lewis and Mark mentioned.
And we really do appreciate all the extended efforts there. Tom, you have set some direction there over the course of several years. I think the community at large, on balance, has responded. You don't find yourself out there with the paddle sort of whacking them into submission, if you will. What do you expect to see over the next 2 to 3 years? What direction will you be leading the community towards?
Well, the future of data center and cloud optimization is bright for the federal government with our industry partners. And we continue to focus on sustainability, co-location, cost and usage optimization. And it's going to accelerate IT modernization as a whole. And a continued focus on cost effectiveness for data center and cloud optimization is going to be critical as we move forward. And then partnerships between the federal government and industry are also crucial for the continued growth and success across the country when it comes to data center and cloud optimization for the federal government. More and more agencies are moving to the cloud, and we'll continue to see that trend. And we don't want to forget about our agency-owned data centers, though. We always have some need for federally owned data centers. And this is why FEA is so important. And the new minimum requirements being developed will ensure that those data centers, which are needed, are built and maintained at high industry standards.
Very important, and we really do appreciate all the leadership coming out of your organization to keep everyone focused on this very important topic. I'd like to thank today's guests for taking the time from your busy schedules to join us on this program. We really do appreciate that. I'd like to thank all of our sponsors for supporting us on the show. I'd like to thank the good people here at Federal News Network that make our program so successful and enjoyable. And most of all, I'd like to thank the listening audience out there that tune in every single month. You've been listening to the Federal Executive Forum, part of the Federal News Network.